Appreciate you being live. We are going live. Okay. All right. Welcome. Welcome to the show. And I'm starting to get used to these glasses a little more. These are these blue blocker things. And I'm not a big fan of glasses, but they all say that they help and support. And so I'm getting used to them more and more. So I just want to put everything out there. If you're just checking in, tell us where you're checking in from. If you're watching this live or a replay. And again, if you're not following me on TikTok, get over to TikTok and follow me over there, because I put like some of my best content is out there. TikTok, I'm just going to tell you, TikTok's audience is it's just different. And you've really got to experience it. Like, there are a lot more raw over there. It's not all about the look good. The engagement's a lot better, and I'm getting tired of all the efforts I've put into different platforms, and they get to decide what rules to get to go. And Helen is in the house. It's good to see you. I got an audio that I got to send you. So thank you. Remind me. Send me a message and remind me later. So I appreciate everybody being here. And yeah, we're going to be talking about really revealing the most important experience you've ever had in your life. Now, I want you to think about, what does that mean to you? Like, what is the most important? Yeah, you think so? What is the most important experience you've ever had in your life? Right? And what has it revealed within yourself? Right? Because the thing that's important to understand this, and as much as, well, there's a part of me, as soon as I thank you, everybody's saying to love the glasses. Okay, I got to get used to them more. Is that, like, I fought this blue blocker thing like big time. I'm not a fan of glasses. But anyways, so going back to what I was saying is, what are the experiences that have happened that have been so instrumental in shaping your life? And why this is such an important question is because once we identify what those experiences are, then we have to look at how do we hold space for those experiences. And obviously, if you followed me for any length of time, you know that one of the most epic experiences in my life, and I don't say epic in the sense like it was the most transformational experience in my life, is when I had my car accident, right? Like, that was one of them. And I'd had many prior to that ended up being responsible for creating the accident that I was in, right? Because as I've shared in many videos, the question that nurse asked me forever changed my life. And that was, how did you get here? Right? Like, how did I end up being in a situation where I had shattered my neck, compound fractured my femur in 2 places, and almost ended my sister's life? Like, you just don't sign up to get in that place, right? And it was through lots of conditioning, lots of things that have been created in my life. And looking back over it, really looking at, how did this get created and what choices have I made from experiences that I've had in the past? And as you also know, one of the experiences in my life that just absolutely, in fact, I got to do this. I'm going to hang on, everybody. In fact, if everybody could do this, geez, everybody's loving the glasses. Don't get carried away with me, okay? I am not going to, I'm not going to be a fan of this. Like, I get it. I want to share this with some people. So if everybody could share this video, that would be awesome. So we get as many people here as possible, because I'm going to be dropping some stuff that is going to be very, very beneficial for everybody. Because, see, friends, understand this. This is really, really important. Everything that you have gone through to this point in your life has been preparing you for something that is much greater. And what makes you be able to realize how impactful that is how you hold space for these events, right? Like, looking at what has happened in your life that you wish hadn't happened is a great place to start, right? And the reason we wish that certain events wouldn't have happened in our life is obviously because of the pain that's attached to it, right? So it's important for us to be able to look at, where's the pain coming from? The pain, most of our pain comes from, well, before I tell you that, I'm going to tell you this story. And again, some of you are going to heard this before. So there's an epic movie out there called 4 Minute. I think it's 4 Minute Mile. And basically the gist of it is this coach, this washed up drunk coach, is watching his track team, outside of the field, and watching this one kid that's like gifted at running, and he's just got a serious attitude, like major attitude problem. And this washed up coach keeps watching this kid and how he's interacting with all the other teammates and stuff like that. Well, one day the track coach says, you know what, get out of here. I'm tired of your attitude, and just get out. You're done. You're kicked off the team. Well, the drunk coach looks up the kid, finds him, and says, "Hey, I want to coach you. Like, I want to coach you, and you're going to have to commit to doing whatever it is that I want you to do, because I'm going to teach you how to run the 4-minute mile." After lots of debates and lots of things, he finally convinced the kid to let him train him. And this coach, this old boy, runs this kid through a training regimen that it was painful to watch. Like, it was like, oh my gosh. Well, then he ends up splitting the mile into quadrants, and the kid runs the first quadrant, face plants on the asphalt, just screaming in pain. Like, I was hurting for the kid, man. It was just like this old boy ran him through some regimen, and he's laying on the ground and he's just screaming, the pain. I can't take the pain anymore. It hurts so bad. Like, this is too intense. And the coach walked up to him, and what this coach told him was just like, it blew my mind on how powerful this was. He walked up to him and he looked down at him and he says, "It is fear of the pain that is stopping you. It is fear of the pain that is stopping you." And see, here, my friend, I'm about to drop the secret of secrets with you, right? Where does the pain come from? Where does the pain come from? Now, not only the pain from the past, but the pain that we project, like proception, out into the future. Where does that pain come from? It comes from us. It comes from how we narrate the experience of life, right? And we all have incredible experiences in our life. Oh, I just had something land for me. Okay. I'm going to get really real here tonight. Is that okay? Is it really okay if I get real with everybody? Being everybody's really doting on my glasses, I'll get really, really vulnerable here. Okay. There was an experience in my life that really revealed to me what's important about what we value, right? Because every single decision we make, whether we're conscious of it or not, is what we really value. Like, we make a decision at an unconscious level, the decision we're making is reflecting what we really, really value, right? We might value not wanting to experience fear. We might value not being uncomfortable. Like, whatever it is, this is what's determining the decisions that we're making. So when I was back in college, and this was my first love, she actually, when she broke up with me, that's when I got clean and sober and started this journey a long, long time. And just devastated. It took me a long time to get over her, but it's what got me sober. It's what started me down this path. And again, it's just amazing how many people outside of myself that I had to impact and hurt them for me to start getting real about my own life, right? Like, very important tip that I just shared there. Anyway, so I ended up hooking up with her again, looking up, and this is about 3 years after we originally broke up, 2 years anyway after we broke up. Had an amazing evening, ended up breaking up, going separate ways again. And then I had my coach that I had at that time. He's like, "Dude, you just got to get her out of your system. You just got to call her, find out where she's at, go through this." Dude, come on, man. His name was Jeff. And so I called her up and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah." I ended up having a conversation. And she goes, "Jeff, there's something I got to tell you." Like, "Oh, okay, what's up?" And she goes, "I just gave birth to a baby boy and I'm giving him up for adoption." And I'm in shock. I'm like, "What? Like, are you kidding me?" I mean, I was just taken back. Like, that was news I did not expect, and held space for her. Like, okay, cool, whatever. She told me the agency that she was going to give it up for adoption and all this stuff. She goes, "It's not yours. It's not yours." And I don't know why she was telling me that. That thought didn't even cross my mind. And so I get off the phone with her and I call up my coach at that time. And I said, "Dude, you're not going to believe this. Like, she just had a baby boy and she's giving him up for adoption." He goes, "That is your child." And I'm like, no, dude, don't even go there. Don't even go there. Right. So he goes, "Go check your receipts." So I went, checked all my credit card receipts, and it was 2 weeks shy of 9 months was the last time we were together. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Now, why was this such a uneasy time for me? Because now I was in a position of going, I have to make a decision, and this decision could literally destroy the opportunity of us ever getting back together. And I knew that, right? And so I called, and he goes, "Call her back." So I call her back and I says, "Hey, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I would just like to talk to you about the possibility that this is my child." And she's like, "No, it wasn't, blah, blah, blah." So what I ended up doing, I sat there and I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then it landed. And when it landed really, really, really hard. I said, could I spend the rest of my life wondering if I have a child out there? Like, what is the most important thing? What is it that I value the most in this moment? Because, like, I have to stand my ground and say, no, this isn't, I'm going to find out if this child is mine, because that's what I valued more than getting her back. And so I proceeded with stop the adoption, blew her whole plan out of the water of what she wanted to do, wanted to cover it up and stuff like that. I still think there was a part of her that wondered whether or not it was mine. Um, Turned out it wasn't, but it really, really got me to see the importance of value clarification, right? So when you are struggling with a decision, really look at what is it that I really value in this moment, right? And if you're struggling making a decision about your career, about a relationship or whatever, obviously one of the great things that you can do is put out pros and cons about this, right? But I want you to think about that this is all about the experiences that you've had in your past. Because as I've shared many times, like one of the most incredible experiences that I had in my life is when Kevin Thompson was that kid that was a little mentally slower than everybody else. Just a kid had just an amazing, amazing heart. And I protected him because I was a bigger kid in class and stuff like that. But when he passed and I went in and told the teacher, she's like, and we will never mention his name again. I was like, I don't want anybody to ever feel like they don't matter. And I didn't recognize the importance of that decision until 30 years later, right? 30 years later, I didn't understand how that event really impacted me, right? So if we can reflect back on the different things that we have had happen, childhood friends, pets, whatever it is, in really looking at what was it that we, first of all, what did we want to be as a child? Right? Like that is a super, super, super important question. What was it that we wanted to be as a child? And then being able to ask a deeper question of what was important to me about what it is that I wanted to be as a child. So think of, okay, I'm a Gen Xer, okay? Barely made it into that club. I almost was a baby boomer, right? Is what was going on in my lifetime when I was a child, right? Like the landing on the, well, apparently they landed on the moon. That's a whole other conversation, right? But everybody was talking about astronauts, right? And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, I remember watching on the TV and all that stuff. Like I was three years old, a little over 3.5 years old when that all happened, right? And watching everybody get excited about it. So I was like, wow, being an astronaut, like people cheer for you. Like that's an amazing thing, right? So there was a part of me that wanted to be an astronaut and wanted to be an astronomer, right? Just because of what I experienced in that realm. And so that was part of it. Then the other thing I wanted to be was a forensic artist. Well, I ended up drawing portraits and all that stuff. But now I look back on all those experiences and now I can see exactly why I do what I do, right? Like I get into the unknown space of people's minds and their belief systems and all the things that they have created. And I guide them in letting go of what keeps them from stepping in their greatness. A forensic artist, I show them how to understand what their true identity is, right? And that event that happened with Kevin, like I look at my career in jewelry, like I had a 20+ year career in jewelry, very, very successful career in jewelry, very good at what I did, published business, like one of the biggest internet marketing or internet sales on jewelry once upon a time. Like I had a very successful career in it, but I left it because, well, some of it was not by choice, but I could see that I was operating out of my congruency. It was incongruent for me to doing business the way I was doing it. And so what ended up happening, my higher self said, okay, dude, we're done. We're done. You're not doing this anymore. And it's freaking slammed me. It slammed me. Like I was going into the end of October. Understand, December is 25% of business for the jewelry industry. 25% of their sales is done in the month of December. So I was going into my 7-figure year. Like this was going to be the year I was going to hit 7 figures. This is the end of October. I woke up in the morning and my entire 1,500 listings was in my email box. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Right. But what happened was I was having intuitional bumps and I knew that I was operating out of congruency. Right. So really looking at and getting rigorously honest with where you are at. What is the question you don't want to ask? Right? Like this is a super important question. What in your life do you not want to tell anybody about? Why is it that you don't want to tell anybody about it? Right? And all these things start revealing how you feel about how you hold space for these, right? Like I'm going through a threshold right now and I can see like my coach, this has been my journey with my coach. Oh, has everybody been able to hear me? Like I just realized this wasn't plugged in all the way. What I've been going on this journey is recognizing a whole other level of how hard I am on myself, right? Like a whole other level. But if you compared from where I was at, like, man, I've come a long ways. And yet now I'm getting down into the real granular stuff that has been holding me at this level, and now I'm going to a different level. I'm getting revealed some of this lower self stuff that is coming up. So I ask all of you, what is the question that you don't want to ask? Right? What is the part of your life, particularly in the past, what part of your past do you not want to explore? And what is the resistance around it? Right? And see, a lot of us don't understand that it's actually the pain, it's fear of the pain that keeps us from experiencing and discovering new parts about who we are. Right? And so understand, we are the one that is creating the narration of that. Right? And it's so important. Thanks, Christina. You're awesome. Yeah, Christina's had a journey as well, but it's you know, and I want to expand on that too, because this was such an important part of this too. Like one of the part of my journey, a big part of me getting into training at a whole other level was like back in the day when I was building websites and things like that. And I'd actually got my website up in the top 100,000 websites in the world, which was a big accomplishment back then. Now it's impossible. I don't even know if Alexa's around anymore. But what I was doing was like feeling like I was turning myself inside out. And what was happening was I was operating incongruently with what my beliefs were. See, I felt that writing blog posts every single day is what intelligent people did. I didn't see myself as intelligent back then. And as I've evolved and grown and let go of other things like that, it's been able to get me to see different aspects of who I was. But the other part of that that's super, super important is during that time, I came across and I'd heard it and seen it many times, but it really landed for me is you can have everything you want by helping others get what they want. And so it made me focus on what am I focusing on? And if we focus on ourselves, we're going to be fearful. Now, I'm not talking about giving yourself away, sacrificing yourself. Like I've had those episodes as well, right? But my fear, my lower self wants to keep me in fear, because if I'm in fear, then I'm not going to be out there sharing light with everybody else, right? And if we don't understand the voices of these different vibrations, then we are going to be like, how in the am I here? Right. But that's why it's so important to put ourselves into environments that literally know how to be honest with themselves. Right. Because friends, understand, you will never discover the solution with the level of vibration that created the problem. Right. So it's important to have a network of people that call you forward and literally will hold space for you because they've gone through the journey themselves. And one of the biggest things that like was dumbfounding to me is when I started hanging out with more successful people, like wealthy people, like people with a lot of money. They think much different than what I thought they did. Right. And I thought that they were greedy. Like I thought they thought, like I was conditioned to have them believe that they show up selfish, they're screwed somebody over, blah, blah, blah. Right. But as I started to discover, they're very, very generous. Right. Like once you understand how to create wealth, right, you start thinking of different things. And now I understand hierarchies of understanding and all that different stuff. So looking at what is your attitude about money, right? What are the experiences in your life has shaped your blueprint about your money, right? Again, not judging it. See, because when we judge it, we deny ourselves the opportunity to really see how freaking brilliant the program is. Right. And see, and psychoanalysis used to study what's wrong with everybody. Right. But when you start looking at how brilliant our mind is and how brilliant our subconscious is and how it has showed up the way that it showed up, then we can start going, oh my God, then we can start working with it. Right. This is why I know I keep saying it, but it's, I'm going to say it until the cows come home. But actually, I'm going to keep saying it until, what do carpetbaggers mean? Dude, I don't know. I think it had something to do with politics or something like that. I don't know. That one. And I hate saying this because I really don't like it when other people say it. I would Google that. Like, I have no idea what it means. Anybody know what carpetbaggers mean? I've heard the term before, but I think it has something to do with politics or something like that. Or no, that's a lobbyist, I think is what I was associating it with. But understanding that the ROI Accelerator Challenge, right? Like I'm going to show you how to literally let go of everything that has kept you from stepping into who you really are, right? Your higher self. Your higher self is not concerned about your comfort. Your higher self is all about you expanding into who you are meant to be. Your lower self is the part that wants to keep you frustrated, keeps you confused, keep you scared, keep you doubtful, all these things, because once you start expanding it, going, whoa, wait a minute, we got to pull you back down. And that little voice can get very, very loud. Like a little Chihuahua dog can make a whole lot of noise, but it doesn't have a whole lot of impact if we understand what that voice is trying to do for us, right? So this is what I want you to do. And so ROI, the R is remember, the O is optimize, getting very, very clear about what it is that you want to create, because this is another thing I see with entrepreneurs, achievers, influencers, creators. They are not clear about what it is that they want to create. So they get into states of confusion. When you're in a state of confusion, you're super, super vulnerable. Okay. You're super vulnerable. You're super suggestible. You're easily distracted, right? Like the media understands all of what I'm sharing with you, right? And they're very, very good at influencing you to believe that you are inadequate, right? So that would answer your question about what is snake oil. That understanding that if you don't understand how you're being influenced, it's being used on you. Then the I is all about influence, right? First of all, learning how to influence yourself so that you can be in a place that you're able to get yourself into a resourceful state, because it's when we're in unresourceful states that makes us believe that we're not resourceful. It's all lies. It's all, well, I think it's all perfectly designed so that we get to exercise the greatest gift that we've ever been given, which is choice, right? Like if we don't have contrast, if we don't have polarity, if we don't have rhythm, if we don't have as above, so below, cause and effect, all these different things, then we really don't get to exercise choice. Why aren't you viral? Brother, I'm waiting for you to share the video, man. I appreciate you asking that question. Great question, right? And that's why I'm on TikTok, because Facebook and other things, yeah, it's a whole other story. But so that's why I'm doing the ROI Accelerator Challenge. And I'm going to be I'm going to be pouring my heart out into this. I actually was going to do a course called The Ultimate Influencer, which was going to be a whole course in itself. And I just seen that there's so much stuff going on. And I see people's minds just absolutely getting indoctrinated with stuff that's keeping them playing smaller. So I was like, I've got to get this out there. So that's why I went ROI Accelerator Challenge. And if you want to understand how the media works, how hypnosis works, right? Like that's what I do. I'm a master hypnotherapist, and understanding we are all in a trance. We are all in a trance. It's just a matter of what trance do you want to be in, and then being able to have the awareness that we're put in different trances, and then being able to protect your mind so that you're not put into a different trance. Friends, understand consumer engineering is real. It is absolutely real. I'm going to have to bring a book on here next time. I'll do it tomorrow on my TikTok show and share with you guys what I'm talking about, because when I read this book, it was like, oh my gosh, right? Anytime you do research, this is super, super important, is to study what makes you uncomfortable, right? So let me give you a case in point. Like my good old boy Jim Rohn used to say, he says, you need to have a book about Hitler, and you need to have about a book of the Bible in your library. So you have the contrast of what it is that you're studying. Because if you keep studying what validates your beliefs, it becomes incestuous, which means it becomes non-functional. It starts impacting its ability to function effectively and efficiently. Okay. So, where was I going what the study is? Being able to ask questions that make you uncomfortable. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Tai Lopez. Tai Lopez is, the dude blew up the internet a few years back, and he created this course of 63 books that he would recommend that everybody reads. Well, one of them was The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. Okay. Richard Dawkins is probably the most renowned atheist out there. That's his world. Cool. All right. Guy's brilliant. And I had a lot of resistance come up around that. And I was like, oh, man. And I was like, okay, what's the resistance? What's going on? And then it just like a voice dropped in and said, Jeff, how can you communicate or hold space with somebody that doesn't align with what you agree with? And I went, okay, boom, got it. Right? Is because it's a thing called cognitive dissonance, right? If we have beliefs come up against us that are not aligned with who we are, it's going to cause cognitive dissonance, and we're going to want to shut it down, right? We're going to have lots of resistance around it, right? So anybody that's on here, if you ever want to follow me, like go check out my videos. Like I talk about a lot of this stuff on there. So I want to really encourage you to step into what makes you uncomfortable, right? Because some of what, okay, here's another case in point. I'm going to really drop a bomb here. Okay. Everything's energy, vibration, and frequency. Okay. Just keep that in mind, right? So every 7 years, science have proved this all day long, right? Every 7 years, our body completely rejuvenates every single cell in our body. Like in 7 years, you are not going to have one cell in your body that you have in your body today. Okay. Why is that important? Well, okay. It's important because skin completely rejuvenates every 30 days. Skin completely rejuvenates every 30 days. Okay. So here's the question. Why do we have scars if skin rejuvenates every 30 days? Why do we have scars then? Right? The reason we have scars is because of cell memory. Now, if you open up a cell, what is inside of the cell? Inside of the cell, it's 99.9% empty. It's full of energy, right? And so that's why we have memories in the past trapped in our bodies, right? And so when we are feeling uncomfortable, that is what's getting animated inside of us, right? And rather than what we do when we have the uncomfortableness is like, oh, something's wrong, don't want to do that, push it away, which is most of what caused the wound in the first place, right? And this is what takes out most entrepreneurs, right? Nine out of 10 entrepreneurs or businesses, right, fail within 5 years, right? And then out of the 10% that make it, 80% of those fail in the next 10 years. Why? Because they do not know how to manage their inner world, right? And so we had this conversation last time, and I think it's very, very important to talk about it now. It goes back to revealing the most important experiences in your life, right? Like, how do you hold space for things that didn't turn out the way you hoped that they would turn out, right? And if we've created a program that rejection means abandonment, think about how you're going to hold space for an experience that didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to turn out, right? And like, this is a question I'll ask you, right? When I fail, that means that I am, finish that sentence, right? Like, this is some of the stuff that I do with my clients, of really getting them. Most therapy, and I don't have anything against therapy. Therapy is part of my journey. It's just therapy can only be so effective, right? Where I go is way to the root and get to the cause, and then get rid of all that, and all the symptomology goes away with it as well. Okay. So therapy deals with the symptoms. I deal with the root, right? And there's lots of reasons for that, not part of this conversation, right? So it's looking at what narrative have you created about things not showing up the way you want them to show up, right? And so we have been conditioned by a program called the educational system that failing equals humiliation. Okay, let me repeat that. We are put in a grading system. Like, I don't know if you had, like, obviously it's been a while since I've been in school, but I don't know about how they did it with you, but they used to put our grades up on a board out in front of the class, right? And the F's were done in red. So they like stood out like a sore thumb. And guess what? You walk up to that board and everybody's pointing like, oh, this person got an F and blah, blah, blah. And a humiliating experience, right? And so you go, me making an F, me failing means rejection from my tribe, right? Rejection from my tribe, right? And so what we have to do is look at that experience from an empathetic witness, right? Like us going back as an adult and looking at this and really seeing what's going on, because what determines how emotional we get about something? What determines how emotional we get about an experience? What determines that, right? It is how associated we are with it, right? And what makes us associated with it is how personal we take it. Like the 4 agreements, like that's one of the 4 laws, is do not take anything personal, right? Well, okay, how do you do that, right? How do you not take something personal? Because our subconscious mind takes everything personal. It takes everything personal, and that's how it has to make sense of stuff, because the conscious mind is not it hasn't been turned on yet, right? So as a child, 0 to 7 is our imprint years. Everything is taken personally, right? So that's important to understand that when you are moving through these things, because again, Why do we have these emotional things? Is because of how personal we take it. That's what turns on how emotional we get about something, right? So in ROI Accelerator Challenge, I'm going to show you literally how to tap into your timeline, right? Like every single memory on your in your years of history that you're here is literally put on a timeline, right? The reason it is done that way is so that your subconscious and your conscious can access memories easily and efficiently, right? So like otherwise it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack. It would be like, where's all these memories? Because remember, like how old you were the first time you had a kiss. How old were you the first time you had a heartbreak? How old were you when you had your first F in class, if you ever had one, right? Like when was the first time you ever in a fight? Like all of these are very linear. Yes, sometimes, most of the time, sometimes they're not. It is what it is, right? Like the subconscious creates it, right? So it's tapping into what that is. But this is what I'm going to be going over in the ROI Accelerator Challenge. Just understand, there was a time in your life when you didn't know what failure was. There was a time in your life when you didn't know what hurt was. There was a time you didn't know what fear was, what anger was, what guilt was, what shame was. And then we end up taking that on, and then we filter every experience through when we first take it on, right? So I'm going to show you how to literally remember who you were before you got conditioned to believe that you were somebody different. Right? I'm going to be showing you this in the ROI Accelerator Challenge, right? Then optimize, like again, what is it you want in your life in the different domains in life, right? Why is this so important? Is because again, if you don't know what you value in the different domains of life, you are in confusion. And when you are in confusion, guess what that does? It opens up all these wonderful things so that doubt and fear and abandonment, all these different things can come in and really, really, really nail us, right? This is so important. Lisa, thank you for saying that. This is super important, okay? The reason relationships break down, friend, intimacy, business partners, whatever, this is the reason, okay, is lack of clarity, lack of clear communication. That's what causes the relationship to break down, right? And when we are filtering and communicating through wounds rather than our power, then when I come to you and I'm communicating to you out of my wounds because my feelings are hurt, guess what I'm going to do to you? I'm going to communicate in a way that's going to trigger your mask as well. And then we have this shit show. We'll just, that's a English word that you can find in some dictionary somewhere, okay? But see, this is what happens. If we don't, this is why you get the breakdown. If you don't have clear, effective communication, then the confusion is filled in by our wounds. Okay? Super important to understand this, and understand every conversation you have, there's literally 8 conversations going on. Like I'm communicating with you, I'm thinking about what to say, I say it, then it hits you, you interpret it, and then you think about what you're going to say back, right? So you say it back, and then I hear it, and then I interpret it. Right? There's literally 8 conversations going on. So really think about, like, what is the probability of being misunderstood? It's high, right? And if you're not able to hold neutral space for each other and be mature and understand everybody's got their own model of the world, and if I don't understand this, then of course you should know what I think. Like, I'm a human. Aren't you a human? Like, we all should. No, we all have our own model of the world, right? And so me understanding that, then if I say something to you, and if I'm looking at because 93% of communication is unconscious, that's just a whole other conversation, right? But if I'm saying something to you and I see that your body, your physiology, 55% of communication is our physiology, 38% is the auditory aspect, 7% is words, right? You want a guaranteed crap show, communicate very intimate, touchy, sensitive subjects through text. Guaranteed to be misinterpreted, right? Again, the confusion is filled in by the wounds, right? So if I'm communicating something to you, this is in the influence part of this challenge that I'm going to be doing. If I'm communicating something to you and I can sense that it's landing in a way that is not aligned with my intention, then I can ask questions. Okay, what did you just hear me say? What did you just hear me say? Right? Or what meaning did you attach to that? Or what came up inside of you when I said that, right? Rather than going, oh crap, here she goes, or he goes, or whatever, then I start firing my mask. And the next thing is like, now I get into defense mode because I feel like I'm going to be attacked because of a past memory that I had in the past. Okay? This is what we're going to be talking about in this challenge. It is going to be transforming on a level that is massively, massively important. And the other part, and my whole mission about this is getting people to wake up, because friends, understand We have some messages going on in this world. Friends, understand this. What I'm going to tell you right here, please understand this. Politicians are lawyers. They're lawyers. Okay. What is a lawyer's mastery? What is the one thing that a lawyer is a master at? They're masters at linguistics. Okay. They're masters at creating a scenario that aligns with the agenda that they want others to believe. Okay. Just understand that, right? Just because they say it is doesn't make it so. Okay. I got annihilated because I didn't take the jab. I got annihilated, not by anybody else, but people that didn't do it. Right. And so what's important about understanding that now we're seeing all kinds of stuff that's coming out because of people that took it. Right. I didn't take it because it didn't align with who I am. I'm not putting chemicals in there that haven't been tested because I value who I value what goes on in my inner world. Syntax grammar is part of it. It actually doesn't, it's called sleight of mouth, right? So sleight of hand is magic. You get to focus over here. I'm going to do the trick over here. Linguistics is learning how to use communication in a way that gets you to guide where they take their focus, right? There is no recession going on. What? Like, hello, right? And just because they say it is doesn't make it so, right? And so really being able to learn, because see, how many of us have been told something and we hang on to what is said and hang on to that more than actually seeing what the behavior is demonstrating? How many of us have been there, right? Like, I don't know how many times you said that, but I've been there many, many times, right? And it's so what I want people to get is learning how to see communication in the other 93%, right? Learning how to see it from the other 93%. Rather than taking the 7% and making it truth, right? Friends, understand this. Over 80% of humanity is not able to distinguish what is true. Okay? Great book I'd encourage you all to read is Power versus Force by David Hawkins, right? If they can make you angry and they can make you afraid, it keeps you from seeing what truth is. That's why we have a red and a blue wing, but those wings are attached to the same bird, right? And until we learn how to appreciate other people's differences, rather than weaponizing their differences, we're just going to keep creating what we're creating, right? And in the ROI Accelerator Challenge, I'm going to revealing stuff that the other course that I've got called the Potential Code that I really, really get in. It's not people that fight, it's levels of understanding that fight. Right. And so the more mature and aware you become, the less you get attached to what other people are saying. It's a sign of a mature, educated mind that can entertain a thought, not take it on. That's by Voltaire. Right. So really, really, I want to empower you. I want to empower you so that you can make choices that are aligned with you. Because understand when you're making choices, what is, well, one of our biggest fears is being separated from our tribe. Right? Like back in the medieval days, how they punished someone is they exiled them. Like they would rather be killed than to be exiled. Exiled was the ultimate torture back in the medieval times, right? Like you getting kicked out of your community is massive, massive, massive fear. So think about how invested you are into staying in your community and how many beliefs that you have taken on just to be a part of that community, right? So Superman's report, what a clever man says can never be accurate. Yeah, interesting. I haven't heard that one. That's a good one. Actually, I'm going to take a screenshot of that one. That's good. I like that. So I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, and there's another one by, I think, Herbert Spencer. It's the thing that goes against all idiocy or something like that. I can't remember, is contempt prior to investigation. Like in the contentment, we make a judgment and we think that that's it. And because we have emotional charge behind it, now we're more invested into it. Think about a football game, right? That football game completely changes after you put money on it. You've invested energy into it, which is the money, right? So really be as objective and neutral as you can, right? The media, most media is owned by one party and they all have an agenda to support their advertisements, which is big pharma, okay? Please don't believe me. Go do your research off of Google. I coached an executive from Google. Google is very, very limited on the information that they will allow you to have access to. Okay, because they unconsciously translate what he hears into something you understand. Absolutely. Yep. That goes along with one of my other favorite ones. Unless you make your unconscious conscious, it will control your life, and you will call it fate. Yeah. So understand that there's a whole lot more going on here in your perception than what you think it is. And this is all the stuff that I'm going to be talking about at a whole other level in the ROI Accelerator Challenge. So if you haven't signed up, get over there and sign up. It's $1 for general. Like if you need support on $1, let me know. I'll support you. Right. And so the other part is I would get you to sign up for, yes, duality. Absolutely. I'd get you to sign up for the VIP because I talk about laws of success. Like I've listened to Think and Grow Rich over 300 times, gone through laws of success a number of times. And so, yeah, I'm going to be sharing levels of consciousness, levels of awareness, levels of understanding, levels of energy. Like I'm going to be going through a lot of different things through this challenge. So I would invite all of you to be there. It's my life's work. It's going to be the best work I've ever done. And I'm excited to bring it to you. So I would love the opportunity to have you be there and allow me the opportunity to teach you some of the stuff that I'm super passionate about. And for those on TikTok, if you haven't followed me, please follow me. I'd love your support. Please share this. Again, I just appreciate everybody. I will be on TikTok tomorrow. All of you in the Potential Zone, if you're on TikTok and you haven't joined the Potential Zone group, it's at thepotentialzonegroup.com. Amazing group. Got lots of amazing people over there. And appreciate all of you being here. Thank you so much. Much love. Have a blessed evening. And as always, live like your life depends on it, because it does. And you all deserve the best, man. So I appreciate you. Much love.